Hey, it's the Right Rican, and I am my blood's boiling right now. I'm just here. I was reading and listening to this. I wasn't gonna do anything today. It's Labor Day. So I was just reading some stuff, and I was like, "What the hell did this guy just say?" This guy who calls himself a journalist, okay? This piece of crap, Jim Acosta, who's all of a sudden now, with all the lies coming from the Biden administration, you don't see him uh, you don't see him accosting, uh, good word there, accosting the press secretary of Biden. But no, here he goes with his whole spiel of he hates Republicans, he hates Democrats. He used the term MAGAban, comparing MAGA people to the Taliban, just because of the law that passed in Texas. Now, here's the bullshit, okay, that this guy talks about. I don't even want to play his. I was looking at the video, I was thinking about playing it. His voice annoys me. So I'm just going to read what he said. This is what he said. Some members of the far right in this country have apparently decided they will resort to intimidation and in some cases, even violence to get what they want. Did he not forget the summer of love or the peaceful protests of the summer of 2020? Even now, you see what's going on with Antifa and they don't cover it. If they do, they give it a bleep at the end of the shows. You have Antifa, anytime there's any sort of right-leaning protest or whatnot, you see Antifa coming in, stabbing people, bear macing people. They have weapons. They make shields which they use as weapons to attack people and to intimidate and use violence to silence right-wing individuals. But where's Jim Acosta talking about that? Of course not. Why is he okay with that violence? Because he's not a journalist. He's a journalist, as I've called them. It's here I want to keep going. He goes, they could sweep into power faster than experts thought possible. Sound familiar? Yes, sound familiar. He's fear mongering because they're terrified of 2022. That's why they're doing this type of stuff on the news. They're terrified that Republicans are going to sweep into power in 2022. Between taking control of the Senate or taking control of the House, they can take control of both. Biden won't be able to do shit. That's one. Okay, he won't be able to pass anything. He'll have to do executive edicts. That's what he'll try to do. And hopefully they'll do the Trump treatment. They'll impeach him, and they should impeach him about some of the stuff that's been going on, especially with, if you couldn't impeach Trump over a phone call, what about the phone call he had with the former president of Afghanistan, asking him to lie? So anyway, let me keep going. So here's when he uses the term, sort of like an American Taliban. It's starting to look like a combination of theocracy and thugocracy. Irony. The leaders of the MAGAban movement, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Madison Hawthorne, and Tucker Carlson, they're not counting on an intelligence failure or a lack of planning on your part. They're counting on a lack of courage to stand up for your rights in this country. Isn't that what they did in 2020? They intimidated anyone, they coined the beautiful, Black Lives Matter, where it's like anybody who was against it, you're racist. No, bullshit. When you read their tenets was all straight up, Marxist, and the people themselves were saying they were trained Marxist organizers, and you totally ignore that just because you want to use them. They basically used it to get Trump out of power, get him out of office. Now that he's out of office, they want to keep it. They want to keep selling you that fear. And that's what's going on. So they don't like the law in Texas. I'm not a fan of it, but it's the law that passed. The Supreme Court, uh, Supreme Court passed on it. Well, what do you want? You know, go. You know, if why is it all these years? You know, after Roe versus Wade, why haven't you tried to pass? Anytime there's a Democratic majority, why haven't you guys tried to pass? Made it into law? Because that's the whole thing. People talk about, oh, it's a constitutional right. It's a law. No, there's no constitutional right to abortion. It's not even a law. It's just something that the Congress said you can't make illegal. But that doesn't make it a law. You have to pass the law, and they never have. You know, here's the irony: anti-immigration, anti-democratic, anti-women's rights forces who have all sought these kinds of changes for years, even decades in this country. The operation to change America forever is well underway. Like I said, you know, this is projection. They're trying to change the country, and they're feeding it to their base. That's what it is. This is not news. This is propaganda. This is them pushing their people. Go, okay, look, you know, we're terrified here. You guys gotta, you guys gotta go vote. You guys gotta go vote. But that's the problem. Problem is they think that because the mainstream news consists of everybody on the left, you know, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, you know, that there's no, you know, they split the news viewership. That's why Fox News is always on top, because there is only one mainstream right-wing news source. It's Fox News. They're not great, but they're Fox News. But they ignore those people in Fox News. They ignore their issues because they don't agree with it. So that's why they propagandize. They do not report the news. And this was the biggest asshole of them all during the Trump administration. This guy always harassing, always ask, you know, it's like, you know, basically what Peter Doocy is doing now. But Peter Doocy is a lot more polite than this asshole is, because this guy was, you know, was really obnoxious. Because why? Because he made his millions off of it. He got his book deal. They gave him more money than they actually should have, because the book sales flopped. So, you know, here's he on CNN talking shit. That's all he's doing. You cannot, you know, you listen to this stuff and it just, my blood was boiling over this, over people who just want this country to be great. That's it. That's why it was take care of America. That's all. That's what the MAGA movement is, America first. And like I've said in previous videos, it's like, you know, crappy stuff is going around the world. You know, the stuff that's happening in our country. We got to, you know, when the plane is crashing, they tell, and the plane depressurizes, they tell you, put your mask on first before you put on your child's mask. And before we could fix some of the ills that's going around the world, we have to take care of our own. Sometimes you gotta, you know, I'm not saying that to help other countries, because I'm not an isolationist either. But I think we should fix what's going on in our country, and then we can help other countries in turn, because a strong America is good for the world. But what we have going on, you know, the weakness that Biden has showed, our enemies smell blood, and the sharks are circling around. And we need to remember that in 2022 and in 2024. Do you want this weak, feckless leader in control of this country? You know, you may be a Democrat, But you have to admit, you have to see what's going on. Don't be blinded by tribal politics. See what's going on. And it's like, yeah, you want to win what's going on there in Texas, but you don't they talk about force, but you have Antifa all across this country with violence across this country. But you get one incident in January, and now that's what happens all the time. Everybody under. That's why I hated when January 6th happened, because I knew it was going to be a bludgeon. That's what they're going to use every time they want to. Oh, but when you tell them about Antifa, oh, but January 6th. Yeah, okay, January 6th. When's the next time? Since January 6th, when has there been a right-wing protest that's ended violently like that? Other than maybe right-wing protests where Antifa comes in and beats the shit out of people. But they don't report that. They'll go, oh, there was a skirmish between, two sides of the protest. No, they didn't need to be a skirmish. Antifa, you have people like Patriot Prayer or something. You don't have, they're doing a rally or something, and Antifa comes and messes with them. You got people, like I said, they'll come with shields, they'll come with bear mace, and they'll start shit. But it's, the news media is biased. This guy in particular. But like I said, he boiled my blood with that bullshit. So I, like I said, I had no intentions of making something, but I saw that and I'm like, no, come on. This guy's too much. So yeah, anyway, that's where I'm gonna leave it. I hope you guys I hope you guys are having a good Labor Day, enjoying your day off if you actually off from work. Not everybody's off from work on Labor Day, depending on the job. So yeah, with that, like I said, I'm gonna leave it there. With that being said, have a good one, everyone.